January 12, 2024, News Report 1. Today marks the eve of the Taiwan presidential election, and the candidates from the Kuomintang, KMT, Democratic Progressive Party, DPP, and People First Party, PFP, held pre-election rallies on the evening of January 12 in New Taipei City and Taipei. DPP candidate Lai Ching-te's pre-election rally in Banqiao, New Taipei City, attracted a massive crowd of 250,000 people. Lai emphasized that the world is watching what choice the Taiwanese people will make, highlighting the DPP's commitment to democratic values and contrasting it with the candidates from China. Lai urged Taiwan not to backtrack, calling on people to vote enthusiastically, supporting the DPP for the presidency and securing a majority in the legislature. Not far away, the KMT also held a pre-election rally in Banqiao, New Taipei City, with 250,000 attendees. KMT candidate Ho Yui mobilized supporters, framing this election as a showdown between the KMT and DPP, emphasizing the choice between war and peace. Ho stated that Lai Ching-te's support for Taiwan independence would lead to war, posing a threat to voters. He pointed out the difficulties faced by the Taiwanese people during the DPP's 8 years in power and called for a change in government. Ho emphasized the significance of this election, calling on supporters to come out and vote. In Taipei, Ko Wen-jae held a pre-election rally in front of the presidential office with 200,000 attendees and 150,000 online viewers. Ko stated that victory is only 1 mile away and urged supporters to win the election for a better future. All three candidates called on supporters to return home to vote, with a higher voter turnout expected from young people working outside their hometowns, favoring Lai Ching-te and Ko Wen-jae. Taiwan Railways Administration has sold 316,000 train tickets for Election Day, while Taiwan High-Speed Rail sold 424,000 tickets, both surpassing the sales figures for the 2020 presidential election. At Beijing Capital International Airport, 3 flights to Taiwan saw long queues. However, reports suggest that from January 7 to 12, only 50,000 passengers entered Taiwan from various Chinese airports, and the actual number of people returning to Taiwan to vote may be around 30,000. The small 3 links saw only 10,000 people entering Taiwan this week, indicating that despite discounted airfares offered by Chinese airlines, large-scale mobilization of Taiwanese businesspeople to return and vote remains challenging. On January 11, Taiwan's Ministry of National Defense reported 10 PLA fighter jets and 6 warships operating in the vicinity of the Taiwan Strait. On the same day, 5 balloons from China were found flying over the Taiwan Strait, coming from the Keelung and Pingtung directions. National security officials warned that after the election, China may continue to intervene in Taiwan's internal affairs, create conflicts, and amplify dissatisfaction among Taiwanese business groups. In the coming months, China may increase military actions, presenting challenges for the new president and the legislature in dealing with China's manipulation. News Report 2. According to data released by the National Bureau of Statistics, China's Consumer Price Index, CPI, fell by 0.3% year-on-year in December, below the expected 0.4% and the previous value of 0.5%. Some voices question the reliability of such precise deflation data and doubt whether the degree of deflation has truly decreased to 0.3%. Despite the data showing continued deflation, there are still doubts about its accuracy. China's CPI has been negative for 3 consecutive months, indicating a deflationary trend. In addition, the Producer Price Index, PPI, fell by 2.7% year-on-year, with a month-on-month decrease of -0.3%, marking 15 consecutive months of decline, demonstrating that China's economy is still in a deflationary state. Data from the General Administration of Customs revealed that China's exports in December 2023 amounted to $303.6 billion, with a year-on-year growth of 2.3%, while imports reached $228.2 billion, increasing by 0.2%. The trade surplus for December was $75.3 billion. For the entire year of 2023, China's exports declined by 4.6% to $3.38 trillion, and imports decreased by 5.5% to $2.55 trillion, resulting in a trade surplus of $823.2 billion. China's trade with Russia reached $240 billion, a 26% increase, setting a historic high. However, trade with the United States amounted to $664 billion, a 11.6% year-on-year decrease, the first decline in 4 years. In terms of specific products, China's exports of electromechanical and pneumatic products increased by 2.9%. Within pneumatic products, exports of lithium batteries for electric vehicles and solar cells totaled nearly $150 billion, accounting for 4.4% of total exports, indicating the export potential in this sector. News Report 3. Data released by the Third Political Research Institute reveals a shift in the landscape of China's real estate industry last year. The three major real estate developers in China in the past year were Poly Group Corporation, Vanke, and China Overseas, replacing the previous top three, namely Country Garden, Vanke, and China Overseas. It is noteworthy that all three of these real estate developers are state-owned enterprises. Poly Group Corporation claimed the top spot with sales of 420 billion yen, followed by Vanke with 375.5 billion yen and China Overseas with 310 billion yen. Country Garden, which was the previous sales champion, dropped to 7th place. The number of property developers with sales exceeding 100 billion yen decreased to 16, a decrease of 4 compared to the previous year's 17. The number of property developers with sales exceeding 10 billion yen reached 116, a decrease of 14 compared to the previous year. Real estate expert Deng Haoji noted that the scale of private real estate enterprises is gradually shrinking, and the outlook for this year remains grim. In addition, Aoyuan Real Estate announced on January 12 that its overseas debt restructuring plan has been approved by the courts in the Cayman Islands, the British Virgin Islands, and Hong Kong, completing the overseas debt restructuring. According to the restructuring plan, Aoyuan will issue new financing instruments to replace the existing $6 billion in overseas debt, which is expected to reduce the payment pressure by $4.9 billion. This restructuring avoids the risk of Aoyuan Real Estate going bankrupt. News Report 4. According to financial data from Wind on January 11, in the past year, 256 funds have delisted in China. More than half of these funds delisted due to triggering termination clauses in their contracts. These funds were ultimately liquidated, and termination clauses typically refer to fund assets falling below 500 million yen with less than 200 shareholders. This indicates a significant amount of redemptions, with 20 funds currently facing potential liquidation crises. Some of these funds have been in operation for less than a year and are delisting due to poor stock market performance, resulting in unimpressive fund returns and triggering investor redemptions. In a declining stock market, these funds struggle to deliver satisfactory performance, leading to increased liquidation risks. This phenomenon reflects the current market instability and investor concerns about risks. News Report 5. Pengpai News reported that this year's Spring Festival Travel Rush train tickets went on sale on January 12. On the first day of sales, January 26, tickets for trains from Beijing to Shijiazhuang, Zhengzhou, Wuhan, Guangzhou, Taiyuan, and other destinations were in high demand, with many trains already sold out. Tickets for February 9, the Chinese New Year's Eve, will be available for purchase starting from January 26. China Railway Group stated that this year's Spring Festival Travel Rush will be the first routine travel rush after the pandemic, expected to cover various passenger flows such as family visits, students returning to school, migrant workers, and tourism. Therefore, the railways will arrange 127,000 train services every day before the Spring Festival, with a 15% increase in passenger capacity compared to pre-pandemic levels. After the Spring Festival, the number of trains will further increase to 128,000, with a 12.6% increase in passenger capacity compared to pre-pandemic levels. This arrangement aims to meet the travel needs of passengers and ensure smooth transportation during the Spring Festival travel rush. News Report 6. On January 12, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Mao Ning stated in a routine press conference that, through China's mediation and promotion, the Myanmar military government held peace talks with armed groups in Kunming, Yunnan province, on January 10 and 11. A formal ceasefire agreement was reached in 3 locations, including Kokang, Daang, and Rakhine. Both sides agreed to an immediate ceasefire, withdrawal of military personnel, and resolution of disputes through peaceful negotiations. They pledged not to harm Chinese border residents and Chinese nationals in Myanmar. Leaders of the Daang armed group confirmed on January 12 that a ceasefire agreement had been reached with the military government, revealing that Chinese Special Envoy Deng Xijun participated in the negotiations. The Myanmar military government has been in conflict with local armed groups since late October 2023, with some of the weapons used by local armed groups reportedly coming from China. Prior to this, local armed groups declared the occupation of Laogai town, located on the border with China, on January 5. News Report 7. The International Court of Justice held 2 hearings on January 11 and 12, mainly involving accusations of genocide in the Gaza Strip by South Africa, Sudan, and Israel. In the January 11 hearing, South Africa presented evidence, with the delegation claiming that Israeli attacks on civilian facilities in Gaza resulted in a large number of Palestinian civilian casualties and the intentional destruction of the Palestinian people. In the January 12 hearing, Israel presented its defense, stating that military actions in Gaza were a counterattack against Hamas attacks and not unilateral actions by Israel against Gaza. Israel emphasized that they had no intention of annihilating the Palestinian people in large numbers and were aiming for a peaceful future for both Israeli and Palestinian peoples. Israeli representatives questioned whether South Africa understood how many bomb attacks from Hamas targeted Gaza and the harm Hamas caused to Palestinians and the kidnapping of Israelis. Secretary of State Blinken stated on January 9 that South Africa's accusations are baseless and particularly frustrating because organizations attacking Israel, including Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthi armed forces, still call for the elimination of Israel and the mass killing of Jews. He deemed this situation as shameful. News Report 8. According to Radio Free Asia's report, Xiao Yuhui, originally from Guangdong, illegally crossed into Taiwan on January 3 last year and is currently in Taiwan under the protection of human rights organizations. Xiao Yuhui crossed from Xiamen to Kinmen by small boat, sought help from passing drivers, and was eventually handed over to Taiwan's Coast Guard. The Kinmen District Court sentenced Xiao Yuhui to 3 months in prison for the crime of illegal border crossing, but he has been released in Taiwan and regained his freedom under the guarantee of human rights organizations. However, Xiao Yuhui has no legal status in Taiwan, cannot work, lacks a passport, and cannot leave Taiwan. Currently, he is waiting for political asylum from a third country. Xiao Yuhui had previously participated in more than 300 administrative litigations as a citizen agent from 2014 to 2016, involving issues like obtaining household registration for second children and fines for second children. In June 2020, he was summoned and detained by police in Huizhou, Guangdong, for supporting the Hong Kong anti-extradition movement. In February 2021, he was summoned by Guangzhou and Huizhou police for initiating a signature campaign condemning the Myanmar military government on WeChat. Xiao Yuhui stated that he fled to Taiwan to escape China's authoritarian regime and seek freedom and democracy. News Report 9. On January 12, the official WeChat account of the Ministry of Ecology and Environment announced that due to health reasons, Xia Zhenhua would no longer serve as China's special envoy for climate affairs. Liu Zhengming, former deputy minister of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, will assume his position. On the same day the announcement was made, Xi Jinping co-hosted a video conference of the China-US Climate Working Group with U.S. Climate Envoy John Kerry. Xi Jinping is 74 years old this year. Xi Jinping's career includes serving as the Director of the Environmental Protection Bureau, Deputy Director of the National Development and Reform Commission, NDRC, and China's Special Envoy for Climate Affairs. He became the Director of the Environmental Protection Bureau in 1993 but resigned in 2005 due to the Songhua River pollution incident. Subsequently, he served as the Deputy Director of the NDRC in 2006 and began serving as China's Special Envoy for Climate Affairs in 2015. In addition, the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, stated that only 19.4% of American adults have received the COVID-19 vaccine this quarter, while the influenza vaccine rate reached 45%. CDC Director Cohen pointed out that the American public has not fully realized the severity of the COVID-19 pandemic compared to the flu. The CDC once again urged all adults to get vaccinated against COVID-19. News Report 10. Costco opened its first store in Shenzhen, marking its sixth store in China and the first entry into the southern China region. Before the opening of the Longhua store in Shenzhen, 130,000 people had applied for membership cards, with 10% being from Hong Kong. On the opening day, people queued at the entrance, and some Hong Kong residents specifically traveled to Costco for shopping. According to reports, on the first day of opening, special discounts attracted many customers. Some luxury items such as Hermès bags and Guizhou Mutai were popular due to discounts, and 180,000 Hermès bags were sold out on the same day. In addition, some foods like strawberries, cherries, croissants, and large boxes of durian cakes were also welcomed by customers. Hong Kong consumers stated that Costco Shenzhen offers products that are 30% cheaper than those in Hong Kong, and compared to other mother stores, Costco's products are more comprehensive. This opening strategy aligns with Costco's development strategy in China, providing more shopping choices for local consumers.